Hey guys, welcome back here. This time we're actually going to be um, doing a video that I actually thought I'd already did for whatever reason. So you remember a while back I was doing my concert memories series, and I think the last one we talked about was actually Obituary, which is where I got the shirt. But for whatever reason, I thought I had done this one already, and we're going to be talking about Iron Maiden, which is obviously one of my favorite bands ever. I've covered them on this channel. Um, just love them to death. I've always been one of my favorite bands. And we went, and this show took place in Dallas, Fort Worth, and it was on the Days of Future Past tour. Which fun little factoid about that. That Christmas, my girlfriend ended up getting me the figures of the Senjutsu Eddie and the Somewhere in Time Eddie that came in a pack of from NECA, the NECA figures that have it was the Days of Future Past tour figures. So kind of a cool little piece of memorabilia that I didn't get from that show, but to kind of remember that show because again that's who went. It was my girlfriend, me, and my two younger brothers whose birthdays are actually both today, even though they're 13 years apart. Kind of crazy, and it's Friday the 13th, so pretty cool. Hope you guys are having a good Friday the 13th out there watching some Jason. But anyways, yeah, back to it. So the opening act for this band, or for this band, it's Iron Maiden, right? The opening act for Iron Maiden was The Who. Obviously not the classic 60s, 70s band, The Who, but the Mongolian metal group who've been kind of, up and coming and rising within the past few years. I'd heard of them before, and they're really good and everything. But we just happened to, be running behind the traffic around that area. It's always pretty crazy. So, I've learned to kind of like, hey, we're going to have to leave a couple hours earlier just in case, because it can get really bad, right? So yeah, we kind of caught a little bit of them, when we were walking in and getting where we were gonna get, and down on the floor, because we were up front by any means. We were in the pit area, so we were a little far back, but we were just enough, close enough to where we could see everything going on. We could see, Bruce up there, the whole band, and we could hear everything great. It was a really cool venue. Gosh, I forget what it was called, but you could really hear the sound and everything like perfectly. One of the best like sounding, like sound dynamic wise, venues I've ever been to. But so we get there, Iron Maiden's going, and they're playing again. I said it was on the Days of Future Past tour, so they played a lot of stuff that they don't normally play. Brought out a lot of deep cuts and everything, which was cool. Unfortunately, didn't play anything off Power Slave, which is my favorite Maiden album, but that's all right because I love all the eras of them. So we got things like Fear the Dark, which is always going to be played, right? That's of course it's going to happen, and that was an awesome moment hearing that thing getting chanted out loud and everything by the fans, me included. We're all just doing that, and just very cool one. They played. They ended up playing some stuff, of course, off Senjutsu, that being their most recent album, which was amazing. Which they ended up closing prior to the encore and double encore or whatever, right? They closed with Hell on Earth, which is probably my favorite song off Senjutsu and one of my favorite songs ever. And that was such a powerful, emotional track and emotional moment there. And just, man, everyone was cheering along to that one. Such a cool one. They played Alexander the Great. I know that was a long awaited track. Everybody always wanted them to play, and they played that actually. So that was really cool. They played Can I Play with Madness off Seventh Son. They played Wasted Years, of course, which is always going to be, one. They played, I believe they played Heaven Can Wait. Yeah, they played Heaven Can Wait. They were playing just stuff from across the board. They played Death of the Celts off Senjutsu as well. Just some very, very cool set lists for sure. And these, how Iron Maiden does, if you've seen videos or heard people talk about them before, they usually do they'll act like they're leaving, but you better hang tight because they're going to bring you an encore. And for that, they did the Trooper off Peace of Mind, which is cool. I know it's kind of a super popular, maybe overplayed song to some, but I think it's a cool track, and it was really cool hearing it live and seeing it live. And you get the final deal was the title track, Iron Maiden. So, a perfect way to end it. And the theatrics of this thing were just unbelievable, right? I mean, you have a giant mummy Eddie up there. You have the giant samurai Eddie from Senjutsu up there going crazy, walking around. There's flamethrowers and Bruce Dickinson's running around like he's freaking 30 years old, and the dude's getting real old, but he sounded incredible. And he's, running around, jumping and interacting with the crowd, having a great time. And just, man, what a show it was. Fantastic stuff. They played, I'm trying to think of some other tracks they played off the top of my head. I know they played, I believe they played, not Gangland, but they played Children of the Damned, I believe. If I remember correctly, they played Children of the Damned. But it was just such an amazing experience. One of the best concerts I ever had. One of the really cool parts of it was seeing, this was my youngest brother's first ever concert. And at the time, he was, and I went and saw this last year, but this would have been 2 years ago now. That's crazy. Time flies, right? But this would have been 2 years ago, so he would have been like 11 or 12 around that time, right? So really crazy for your first ever concert to be freaking Iron Maiden, right? And it was just really cool seeing the next generation kind of experience, a concert for the first time, and it being that awesome of a band with Iron Maiden. So really, really amazing show. One that I'll forever remember, and I hope to catch them again next time they are anywhere. I'll travel. I traveled quite a bit, pretty far to get there. It's about 8.5 hour drive from where I live. But I've gone to Dallas and that area a lot in the past. So anytime there's usually a show there, I'm like, hey, if it's somebody I'm into, I'm probably going, right? But Iron Maiden, an amazing, amazing show. Always one that was one on my bucket list. I needed to get off, and I did it, and they more than impressed. And again, I love the set list they played. Just some deep cuts, things like that on there that I really wanted to hear. I love seeing them play these epic tracks and everything. And that, just even speaking of epic tracks, they played the Book of Souls, which was awesome. I was glad to see that get played. But just an amazing show. If you guys haven't ever seen Iron Maiden, definitely go if they're near you, because they're one of a kind. They really live up to the hype as far as the energy. The fans, of course, where you're all singing along to the songs, and there's just some cool chanting kind of moments and stuff, and like where everybody kind of chants and sings along in some of their songs, especially like Fear of the Dark. But just an amazing show, and one that I'll definitely remember forever. And, hopefully, I get to go see them before they finally end up calling it quits and not announced a final tour or anything. But shows I'm hoping to go to at some point soon. I really want to go see Megadeth on this last tour. I've accidentally missed them before and passed them up. And I hope I can, get a chance to go see them on this last tour. I'm looking to possibly go see Tame Impala later this year, which would be pretty cool. I remember saying in one of my concert memories videos, I was going to go see Cannibal Corpse, and I was going to, but something came up. I booked pretty much too much stuff to do that same week. I went to a Dallas Cowboys game. This was this past year, so I did that, and then I was like, my God, and now I'm going to have to go. Oh, I'm exhausted. Now I'm going to have to turn right back around and go see Cannibal Corpse. I was like, I'm going to have to pass, but they'll come back around. But anyways, guys, talk about, if you guys have seen Iron Maiden down there or hope to see them, let me know down there, talking about some of your favorite songs or memories that you have from seeing Iron Maiden, or just the band in general, or some of your, concert experiences you've had. So anyways, stay tuned. We're going to be reviewing the second Talus album, Sink Your Teeth Into That. And then we'll just have the one more after that. And I think what I'm going to do, with that only being 3 albums, just on that final Talus album review, I'll just be, saying my ranking of the 3 records there. So I'm going to do that, and then that way we can kind of jump into the next big band that we're going to do. So everybody like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned. Thanks.